Hey Saners, welcome to the round 22 review. Live in my car. Well, not live, but in my car. I think we walked away about 6 goal winners. Max King booted 6. Gresh kicked 3. Those were the major goal scorers for us. And overall, a pretty professional, pretty comfortable performance, I would think. Obviously, last week we know what happened in the fourth term, but it was good to see no signs of that really creeping in this game. I was a bit worried that last week's fourth term could really just filter into this week's performance against a struggling Richmond side, but we started well. You know, we kicked 5 goals to 2 in the first quarter, 5 goals to 3 possibly, or 4 goals to 2 in the second. At halftime, we were pretty comfortable, about 5 goals up, and that was pretty much the margin for most of the day. So we kind of held them at arm's length. It did look like it could have blown out a bit in the last quarter. I think we got upwards of maybe 45 to 50 points, and Richmond looked like they were really struggling, you know. So I kind of thought, okay, better percentage here will be nice. We still gained a little bit, but I think the only real negative I can kind of think of is that we didn't really... I didn't feel like we ended the game with full momentum. We started the game really well. We put ourselves in a really good position to kick a big score, maybe even go a bit party time with Max King, maybe kicking more than his career high 6, equal career high, and maybe getting a 7th and an 8th. But yeah, King, it looked like, played less than half the last quarter, and it looked like maybe the boys were conserving a bit of energy for next week. Because let's face it, I said it going into this game that really percentage doesn't matter anymore. If we just win 2 games, we're there. Whether we, percentage will obviously be a factor of whether you finish 6th, 7th or 8th, but at this point you just want to make it. And our percentage right now is about 107.1, and I think GWS are copping a fair shellacking to Port Adelaide as we speak, so that is huge in the run home. And obviously the Bulldogs went down today to Hawthorn, which is massive for us as well. So at this stage, we are now 6th with our destiny still in our hands. 2 games to go. We win 1 of them. We are there. I want to quickly jump into a special mention for someone that really stood out to me today. But obviously it wasn't the star of the show, but a player that I think we didn't think would play the sort of football we saw today, and that was Zane Cordy. I couldn't believe how good he was today. You might disagree with me, but I genuinely thought he was, along with Wilkie, our best defender. Him, Wilkie and Battle were so in control of that back line for the whole day. And I know Richmond have got a fairly inexperienced forward line, minus Jack Rewald, but they handled it so well. They looked so comfortable, with Stocker there, with Naz, Sinks cleaning up, Webster doing a pretty good job. It didn't look like Richmond were ever going to challenge us. I wasn't really worried about losing this game at any point. It was more a matter of, I hope we don't take it easy. I hope we don't let them kick a few goals. And, they kicked a few red time goals in a couple of the quarters, which is disappointing. But anytime they did that, we kind of bounced back and kicked 2 or 3 of our own, stabilised the game. In terms of general style and what I noticed that really kind of caught my attention was the use of going down the middle. Now, I don't know, I was chatting to Jaden during the game, but I'm curious to see how that goes next week, whether it was just Richmond were really bad at manning up in the middle of the ground, or that was a new strategy going into this game that we really executed well. Because last week we got Carlton by going back to front through the wings, and that's why Mason Wood got 36 disposals last week, got a career high disposal number. In this game, it felt like we didn't use the wings very much. Anytime we got to that maybe wing position halfway, that's when we went for that kick into the middle of the ground. And we went for it, I reckon, 40 or 50 times. I reckon over the game, there was about 5 to 10 times a quarter that we tried to go for that middle kick. And it came off a lot of the time. And when it did, you could see how easy it was for us to enter the 50. We probably should have kicked a few more goals off the back of it. There were a few chances where the ball didn't carry quite to the back, or our forwards like Membry and King didn't lead up enough, but we went through the guts a lot tonight, more so than I feel like we did last week. I feel like last week was very much a wing game. Carlton clogged up the middle of the ground, and then they got us through the guts in the last quarter. But in this game, we got Richmond through the guts pretty much for the entirety of the game, and I thought that was a nice shift. But I just need to know whether it was just Richmond being kind of average, or tactically we were just kind of on point and knew what we were doing in this game to exploit a weakness in Richmond. So we'll see next week whether we allowed that much space in the middle of the ground. But we used it well. I thought that the return of Tim Membry was excellent. I thought, he deserved his goal, but he didn't get it. But apart from that, you could see how much, better we looked around the ground, how much space having someone like Skunk allows us, spreading, leading up, creating options, and then you're able to isolate the likes of Kingy, Owens, Sharman look good, these sort of guys deeper. King didn't really need to venture too high up the ground. Times he needed to, but for the majority it was, Rowe, Owens and Skunk on those wings as that kind of outlet kick. And it didn't feel like we were bombing onto the heads of our forwards as much either. I felt like there was a lot more methodical movement going inside the 50, chipping it around the arcs. There was a nice one from Josh Battle that then nailed, I think, might have been Jack Steele, I can't remember, but it might have been Owens actually. Beautiful setup, and then Owens kicked the goal that we haven't done in a while. We've rushed our kicks, we've panicked, but tonight it felt very thoughtful, very methodical, very calm, and comfortable, like I said before. So yeah, those were the stands. Obviously Owens I thought he was excellent. Minimal sort of disposal get, but he kicked a nice goal. He did some very ridiculous things that you think, how the hell does this bloke do that? That spin, that pirouette out of traffic, and then the hands that resulted in a Jade Gresham shot was unbelievable. There was another kick in the back half from Naz, I think, or it looked like it was going to miss him completely, and he's just put his dukes up and just plucked it out of midair, and I thought, how the hell did he reach that? But then you remember his leap is next level, so and even in the ruck he did some very nice things. So the midfield looked all right. Steely looked solid. I thought Sinks was good. Philippo started the game well, got his goal. Ron Marshall was excellent again. 25 disposals, 20 hit-outs and a goal on Nankervis. So that's a massive, massive game for Rowe. The Smalls, Higo and Butler, probably expect more from them next week. Especially Butler. I thought he was very quiet and did a few things that I didn't like. But the balance, it seemed like the team had a bit of balance. There was enough height. We had a good bit of representation at the ground ball. I thought Windy was pretty solid without being outstanding, but really did some nice things. And the forward line looked like it operated a bit better with Membry there. It just did, Membry looks fit, and people wonder why we left him at Sandy for as long as we did, but he comes in today and he runs out a full game, looks fit, looks ready to go. Gets a good game under his belt before he plays Geelong. So I think there's a lot of boxes there ticked. I think obviously the last quarter we could have really put the foot down a little bit more. You'd really just want to see that ruthlessness from the team, but we kicked 14 goals in the end, and 6 of them were to King, but it just felt at the ground like there was enough grunt, there was enough outside, there was enough inside, there was enough pressure around the football. We did let Richmond get through a few tackles in the third, but for the most part, I think at one point the tackle count was 30-10 our way. We came out of the blocks with the pressure just like we did against Carlton, but it was nice to see we kind of, paced ourselves and really tempered the way we were going about it, because last week we went too hard too early, couldn't finish the game off. In this one, it felt like we really did kind of control the tempo, go hard when we needed to, and then toned it down. So I know I've missed a few players there that were obviously impressive, but yeah, those were the players that really stood out to me. Cal Wilkie's got to be All-Australian. He was excellent again. Josh Battle doing what he does, really strong in the air and good ball use. Hunter Clark did some silky things when he came on as the sub. So yeah, no complaints really from me. I think it was just a matter of get through the game unscathed, find some form off the back of last week's disappointment, and then really put your eyes firmly on Geelong next week, because you win that, that's the job. That's 13 wins or so, and finals on the agenda, Saners. So comment your thoughts. Obviously not alive, so apologies for that, but comment your thoughts anyway. In the YouTube comments, I'll respond when I can. Please like the video and obviously subscribe. Let's get to 8,000 by the end of the season. That would be unbelievable. If we make finals, there's going to be a lot of content on the channel, so make sure you subscribe and you get plenty of there. But that's it, Sainers. We go out 6-goal winners against the Tigers. And next week, it's doomsday. It's crunch time against the Cats on Saturday night. We either end their season and keep ours going a little bit longer, or they end ours and get a chance at making finals themselves. So it's a massive game. Who would have thought it's going to come down to playing Geelong, really? And then Brisbane the week after, who didn't look great yesterday at the Gabbers, so who knows what happens in round 24. But round 23, bring it on against the Cats. Saturday night, get to the game. Make sure you wear your colours, and let's fill the stadium and get the boys over the line. It'll be a party if we win next week. It'll be huge. So I'll wrap it up there, Sainers. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday night. Take care, and as always, go you mighty Sainers. See you guys.